Good morning to all of you. It's nice to have you here. It's a brand new morning, a brand new week, and it's nice to be talking to you again about major developments in the Indian economy. This is Arun Bhaskar from BKBB, an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. This is a channel that comes to you every week with policy analysis, conversations, and occasional business stories. But at 8:15 in the morning right now, we bring to you news behind the news, looking at developments and the impact on the Indian economy in geopolitical terms, and we try to look at news in depth. Today, my co-anchor is Katya. Welcome, Katya. Good to have you here. And today, both of us are going to discuss the following three titles. The first is, of course, on Saturday, 26th of this month, on Saturday, the Chinese premier announced the largest hydroelectric power station, 3 times larger than Three Gorges. It has major implications for India. The second item that we should talk about is mass layoffs in the IT sector. And the third is about how agricultural NPAs are on the rise and why. Anyway, let's take first story first. The first story is about the largest hydroelectric dam and facility that is being created in China on that part of the Brahmaputra that is in China. Remember, 2/3 of the Brahmaputra is in China and 1/3 is in India. Almost 1/3, because some of it goes to Bangladesh also. And this is the largest dam. It's 3 times larger than the Three Gorges Dam and is expected to generate 300 billion kilowatt hours of electricity every year. Now, this has major problems for India. It means that India could see its water supply cut down. We do not know. It could also affect Bangladesh. We still do not know. But most important, it comes on the heels of a recent statement by the Chinese when India tried to cancel the Indus Water Treaty with Pakistan, saying that what you're trying to do to Pakistan, please remember, it's a long border and can be dealt with elsewhere. And this comes on the heels of 3 major podcasts done recently by Praveen Soni on the implications of a skirmish, a war, a disagreement between Pakistan and India, or China and India. And Soni says China will not fight directly against India. And that is interesting because this hydroelectric power station has the potential of erupting into a huge, it won't be a war, but a whole huge crisis. Let's see what happens. This river, which is known as Yarlung Tsangpo in China, is one that was announced. This plan was announced first in 2020 under the 5-year plan, and it was approved just last December 2024. Watch the space. Expect more over here. And that takes us to the next story, which is also not so pleasant news on the IT sector. Katya, could we have you?
Thank you, sir. So we've all been fearing it. We knew this day was going to come. We knew the day would come when AI would eat up jobs, and it has fired its biggest salvos. India's most valued company is going to trim 2% of its staff, which accounts to 12,000 jobs. And then the rest of the staff is also going to be retrained, redeployed as they get into new markets and ANN. Why is this happening? So if you see, we'll go a little back and see. In the last 2.5 years, ever since the post-pandemic discretionary spending issue had taken over, US spending had come down. EIT sector has been doing very badly. Its revenues have been going down. In fact, its order books have not picked up. In fact, in even the last quarter, TCS recorded a quarterly revenue fall. So, and this has been happening for many quarters. So basically, the business has truncated big time, and added to that, AI has come. Basic base business has gone down. AI is also taking over a lot. So it's not good for IT sector. But this problem, TCS is mass firing, and entire IT sector being in doldrums is not good news for even for the Indian economy and for employees in general, because IT sector are the high earning employees, white collar jobs. A lot of them come from the IT sector in India. Point number one. Point number two, there has been a consumption slowdown. We've been seeing all of this calendar year, very market, and that's never going to pick up because job fear will eat into it. In fact, salary growth has been not very great, that which is why consumption has not been picking up in spite of RBI pushing liquidity into the system through many funds. And the third news is that actually, if you see in the last 2.5 year, IT sector work employee base has been truncating. And that I mean, a few months, a year and a half back, somebody said if GCCs weren't there, there would have been bloodbath in the system even back then. So a lot of the people who were getting away from IT companies were hired and placed by GCCs, global capability centers. But that, of course, the real bloodbath has now come, and we'll see how many of them will be absorbed in the system.
Yeah, you're right. It's a very frightening scene. And I wanted two comments to make here. One, if the government had the political will, it could revive the sector by outsourcing many of the government data collection, data related customer services, like it outsourced the passport services. And you can see the difference it made for the world, for India.
Right.
If you could do the same thing with police fines, if you could do that with municipal taxes, if you could do that with land records, which still remain to be digitized.
Mm.
Globally, the largest IT service provider outsourcer is the government. In India, the government wants to keep even these businesses to itself so it can give it selectively to favorites and not get an organized, systematic approach to data management and data and customer services.
Right.
Well, on the other hand, the government has been promoting speculators, and we lost a large amount, $12 billion, to foreigners at the cost of small traders. The government has lost its vision on how to revive the economy. And for me, that's worrisome because if the IT sector gets hurt, and Kat, you're right about that, it'll have a ripple down effect.
The first domino has fallen, sir. Rest
You
of it
bet.
will follow.
Yes, it's unfortunate. It's laughable in a way, but it's
Hmm.
tragic
It's tragic.
that a country that they said is very strong is a country that's actually shaking now.
Hmm.
And that takes me to the third story. And the third story is also bad news. Agricultural NPAs are increasing. Look at the chart on the screen. You'll see how they're increasing. Why are they increasing? Well, farmers have taken the money. The Kisan credit schemes have been launched with great fanfare, and that in turn has made many farmers borrow money, but why aren't they repaying it? The reason is very simple. The government has taught them not to repay the money. Today, agriculture had the highest gross NPA of 6.2% in September 24, RBI data. The share of the priority sector in total GNPA of scheduled commercial banks was 57.3%, up from 51% just a year ago. And NPAs are likely to soar more even among private sector banks. Among private sector banks, HDFC reported a farm sector slippages about 2,200 crores. And we expect the situation to get worse for two reasons. Every farmer knows the elections are coming. And every farmer knows that just before elections, the government announces a loan waiver scheme. So why repay? So you have freebies on the one side, a spoilt culture of borrowing on the other side, and a free access to money on the third. Not very good news. But thanks for listening to us. And that takes me to the very end of this section, and that is answering questions and comments. But before I go to questions and comments, let me make the usual reminder. Please click the subscribe button if you have not clicked it already. Click the like button. It helps us. It improves our algorithms. And most importantly, please tell all your people around you, your friends, your relatives, your associates about this program because you want to grow faster. And that takes me to the last part, and that is comments. And the first question is actually for Katya. We know that the IT sector is crucial to India, and services accounts for the largest share of India's GDP.
Right.
Does it mean that India's GDP will decline?
See what TCS and probably a lot of other IT companies are trying to do is keep up their business and bring in more AI orders, etc., into their mix, which is a necessity. See, the hope is that their order book and business will survive. But for doing that work, they probably don't need these many hands on deck. So, which is exactly why it's happening. Their margins have been truncating since the pandemic, and after the pandemic, revenues have also truncating. So, a layoff was coming, had to be coming for a long time. So, if they're going to shift to AI, they can probably do the same job with fewer people. So, that is the issue rather than probably exports will not fall. They might, we don't know, but their intention currently is to keep it up.
Thank you, Katya. You're right. The situation could result into an overall slowdown of the Indian economy. But you're right. And that takes me to the next question. Is the hydroelectric power station of China a pressure tactic to get more deals? Well, China has its own plans. It had said it will start depending more and more on hydropower. So this is part of a plan that was announced in 2020. But China does not want more deals. It just wants India and China to sit down and negotiate, which India has been avoiding. The last meeting with India and China, India lectured to China on why they should mention the Pahalgam episode in their talks, in the SCO. If you have to arrive at a settlement, you have to see eye to eye on issues that annoy both countries or not just one side. In 2019, when Xi Jinping had come to India and met Modi in Mahabalipuram, he had suggested that there should be a zone of peace for this part of the continent between India, China, and Pakistan. India did not even mention that in the official statement. It was lent to Wang Yi before Xi Jinping left India to say that this is what we discussed. No paper covered it except one, the Hindu group. And this is where we need to understand that we need a zone of peace. Tensions on this, tensions for India will hurt India because it will be vulnerable for many more sides than just one. And that takes me to the last question. Agricultural loans, what do we do about it? I don't know what we do about it. Agriculture needs money. But then you have to structure the need money in such a way that it's repaid. You have to make government responsible for any loan waivers. It must come from party funds. Until you do that, the tendency to be free with taxpayers' money is a dangerous tendency. It must be curbed. It must be stopped. Let parties pay from their own funds any freebies they want to give the public to gain public support for votes. It's like an election expenditure, but the EC is quiet, the courts are quiet, and the political parties don't see the vision in that statement. And that takes me to the end of today's session. Thank you for being with us. It's good to have you here. And do log in again tomorrow for a new session on the top 3 headlines. Take care. Have a wonderful week ahead. Have a wonderful day ahead also. Bye.